Think about the last time you landed on a website. Did you instantly know exactly where to go, what to click, maybe feeling, pretty good as you found what you needed?
Yeah, that seamless feeling.
Or, flip side, did you stumble onto a digital maze? Just clunky, confusing, and honestly plain frustrating.
We've all been there.
That immediate reaction, that gut feeling, it isn't just random. It's actually the result of some incredibly intentional design. For so many of us, a website is the very first interaction we have with a business or an idea. It kind of sets the entire tone, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And the stakes are, well, incredibly high, way beyond just that first impression. Our sources point to a really compelling statistic. 75% of users actually judge a company's credibility based purely on its website design.
Wow, 75%, that's huge.
It is. That's not a small number. It basically means professional web design isn't just about making things look pretty. It's a fundamental business thing that directly impacts trust, growth, and, conversions.
That's such a crucial point about credibility. But design itself can mean so many different things, right? So how do we break down what really goes into crafting that professional digital experience? Something that goes beyond just, the visuals.
Good question.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into exactly that. We'll unpack the art, the science, and honestly, the sheer strategy behind it all.
Looking forward to it.
Our mission is to explore the core components, that structured process, and the principles that make a website not just functional, but genuinely engaging, intuitive, and effective for you, the user. We'll uncover how aesthetics, usability, and all that underlying functionality intertwine to build this digital world we navigate every single day.
It's definitely a complex blend, and those visual elements you mentioned, that's where the first impression really takes hold. Visual design isn't just a coat of paint, it's more like a language.
Okay.
Like, colors don't just fill space, they speak volumes. They can trigger specific psychological responses. Blue, for instance, often signals trust, professionalism. That's why you see it so much in banking or corporate sites.
Right. But, a deeper insight from our sources reveals designers don't just pick blue. They consider its specific shade. Is it a muted, cool blue for stability, or maybe a vibrant electric blue for innovation?
Ah, so even the shade matters.
Definitely. And similarly, orange can trigger urgency or excitement. Great for call to action buttons, right? But how do you balance that with not appearing, too aggressive? The nuances in color theory are where the real strategy lies.
That's fascinating how specific those choices are. And it's not just colors, is it? Typography, the fonts chosen, plays a massive role too.
Oh, absolutely.
The right font can instantly define a brand's personality. Think the elegant serifs for luxury, or maybe clean sans serifs for a modern tech company. But beyond the look, how much does typography affect usability for someone just trying to read online?
It's critical for usability. Good typography massively impacts readability, and it guides the user's eye. Hierarchical typography, for instance, that strategically uses different size and weighted fonts for headings versus body text.
Okay, so like bigger text for titles. Exactly. But it's not just pretty. It creates clear visual pathways. It helps you scan and understand content quickly. Basically, it reduces your cognitive load, making the whole experience smoother. Without clear typography, even amazing content gets lost.
That clarity is vital. But beyond those individual pieces, how do designers arrange everything on the page so it feels natural, easy to navigate? That's where layout and white space come in, right?
Precisely, yeah. But once those individual elements, colors, fonts, images, are doing their job, the next challenge is how they all sit together on the page. Modern web design relies pretty heavily on grid systems and structured spacing. And again, this isn't just for looks. It's about creating clear visual paths and giving elements room to breathe. That deliberate use of white space, around text blocks or images, it makes the content feel less overwhelming, much easier to digest. It literally creates a kind of comfortable visual rhythm for the user.
Okay, a visual rhythm. I like that. And what about visual storytelling? We know images and multimedia are everywhere. High-quality photos, videos, illustrations seem crucial, and our sources mention that video, specifically, can boost engagement by a staggering 88%.
Yeah, that stat is pretty impressive.
But there's always a but with rich media, isn't there? Especially video.
There absolutely is. The but is optimization. You can't just upload these massive uncompressed files.
Right.
They need to be properly formatted, compressed, maybe lazy loaded, which just means they only load when you scroll down to them, all for performance and, importantly, accessibility. Otherwise, that huge engagement boost turns into sheer frustration when the page takes forever to load or it eats up all your mobile data.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
So while it's powerful, the strategic implementation of multimedia is key.
That focus on the user experience leads us perfectly into user experience, or UX design, which is really all about making that entire digital journey seamless, intuitive. What's the starting point for really getting that right?
It always begins with understanding the user. Designers conduct pretty extensive user research through surveys, in-depth interviews, usability testing to really uncover needs, pain points, motivations.
Okay.
They often create personas, which are fictional but highly detailed representations of target users. These personas aren't just like character catches, they become the touchstone for every single design decision, ensures the site serves real-world needs, not just the designer's assumptions.
So you know who your user is.
Yeah.
But once you have all this information, how do you actually organize potentially vast amounts of content so people can find what they need without tearing their hair out? Is there a blueprint for that digital navigation?
That's exactly where information architecture, or IA, comes in. IA is basically the blueprint for how content is organized, structured, and labeled.
Okay.
The goal, often talked about as the 3-click rule, is to arrange things so you can find what you need in 3 clicks or fewer.
I've read that one.
Yeah, but our sources also challenge this a bit, asking,
Yeah.
is 3 really the magic number? Maybe not. What truly matters is the cognitive load and the predictability of each click, not just the raw count.
Huh. Interesting.
I mean, an intuitive 5-click journey might actually be less frustrating than a confusing 2-click one if each step feels clear and logical, right? It's about clear labels and intuitive pathways more than an arbitrary number.
That makes perfect sense. It's about reducing friction.
Hmm.
And then there are those tiny, often unnoticed touches that can really elevate and experience the micro interactions.
Yes, micro interactions. They're subtle, but really impactful. Things like a button changing color when you hover over it, or a little checkmark animation after you submit a form, or maybe a subtle bounce effect on a newly loaded item.
Right, those little things.
They create a sense of responsiveness, give you immediate feedback, and frankly, just make the experience feel more delightful, more polished. They're tiny moments of engagement that build up a positive feeling about the site.
And building on that positive relationship, we absolutely can't overlook accessibility and inclusivity. This is about designing for all users, including those with disabilities. What are the key things to think about here?
It's absolutely critical, and it connects to broader values of equal access, really. It means following standards like WCAG, the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines.
WCAG, okay.
Yeah. Ensuring proper color contrast, so text is readable for people with visual impairments, enabling full keyboard navigation for users who can't use a mouse, making sure the site works properly with screen readers. It's not just a compliance checkbox. It's about making sure your message and services are genuinely available to everyone.
That's so important. Okay, moving from the user experience to making it all actually work, we get into technical implementation. This is where the code brings the design to life. We hear about front-end development a lot, but what exactly does that involve?
So front-end development is basically building everything you see and interact with on a website. It fundamentally uses HTML for structuring the content, CSS for all the styling and presentation, and JavaScript for interactivity and dynamic features.
HTML, CSS, JavaScript. The big three.
Exactly. But for the complex, almost app-like experiences we expect now, frameworks become pretty essential. Take something like React, which came out of Facebook. It lets developers build complex user interfaces by breaking them down into reusable, self-contained components.
Ah, like building blocks.
Precisely. This modularity is key to managing complexity, collaborating effectively, and delivering those dynamic, interactive layouts smoothly and efficiently.
And the need for speed. Technically speaking, you just can't overstate it. Our sources highlight that critical stat. 53% of mobile users will abandon a page if it takes longer than 3 seconds to load.
Yeah, over half your audience potentially gone in the blink of an eye.
Crazy. So what are some technical fixes to avoid that?
It's a constant battle. Performance optimization is crucial, and it involves a whole range of techniques. We're talking image compression, minifying code, which basically means stripping out unnecessary characters from code without breaking it, lazy loading of images, like we mentioned earlier,
Right.
and using content delivery networks, or CDNs. CDNs store copies of your website's content on servers all around the world. So when you access a site, the content is delivered from the server closest to you, which drastically speeds up load times.
Gotcha. So once it's fast, What about making sure it works for everyone, no matter what browser or device they're using? That sounds like a nightmare to manage.
It really can be. That's cross-browser compatibility. Websites need to perform consistently across different browsers: Chrome, Safari, Firefox, Edge, and a huge range of devices.
Right.
Phones, tablets, desktops, even smart TVs now.
Wow, yeah.
What looks perfect in Chrome might be completely broken in Safari or on an older Android phone. So extensive, meticulous testing here is just non-negotiable. It's a continuous effort to ensure a consistent experience across this fragmented digital world.
And finally, a website has to be found right. Search engine optimization, SEO, is often seen as purely marketing, but is deeply tied to web design, isn't it?
Absolutely. SEO isn't just about keywords stuffed onto a page. It's deeply integrated into the site's structure and technical performance. Optimizing the site structure, using clean semantic HTML, making sure it's mobile responsive, and nailing that crucial loading speed we just discussed. All of that contributes significantly to better visibility on search engines like Google.
So a beautiful, fast site that nobody can find isn't really doing its job.
Exactly. It needs to be discoverable.
Okay, that gives us a really clear picture of the core components. Now let's unpack the whole journey, because creating a great website isn't just a single event, it's a really structured process. Where does it all begin?
It all kicks off with phase one, discovery and planning. This is where you lay all the groundwork. It's about doing deep initial dives, stakeholder interviews to really get the business vision, market research to see what opportunities are out there, competitive analysis to understand what others are doing well, or maybe not so well.
Right, doing the homework.
Pretty much. This helps define the core elements: clear business goals, what the audience actually expects and needs, and a solid content strategy, thinking about the site's voice, tone, the whole storytelling approach. This phase also starts outlining the site structure through those information architecture diagrams and technical specs, essentially drawing the map before you start building the road.
That makes a lot of sense. So once the map is drawn, then comes phase two, design and prototyping. This is where those initial ideas start to take visual form. How do you go from that map to something people can actually see and click on?
Okay, so we usually start with wireframes. These are like the skeletal layouts of a page. They focus purely on structure and function. Where does the navigation go? How are content blocks arranged? Zero visuals at this stage.
Just boxes and lines, basically.
Very much, yeah. Then mood boards come in. They help define the brand identity through colors, typography, imagery, the overall aesthetic feel. And finally, interactive prototypes are created using tools like Figma or Adobe XD.
Ah, the clickable ones.
Exactly. These aren't just static pictures. They simulate real user flows. Stakeholders, even potential users, can click through and experience the site almost like it's live before a single line of code gets written.
That sounds incredibly useful for getting early feedback. So this phase really relies on iterative feedback loops, then. It's not just design it once and you're done.
Oh, definitely not. It's highly iterative because design is almost never perfect the first time. It's all about refining concepts based on that feedback until everyone's aligned and the design truly hits the mark for both business goals and user needs. Once that design gets the green light, then it's on to phase three, development and implementation. That's where the actual building starts.
Okay, so after all that careful planning and design refinement, this is where the engineers jump in. What's involved in bringing the site to life technically?
This is where front-end and back-end integration happens. The front end, as we discussed, is everything you see and interact with. The back end is the engine running underneath, powering databases, APIs connecting different services, maybe a content management system like WordPress so clients can update content easily.
Right, the stuff you don't see.
Exactly. But it's not just building. Rigorous testing is critical here. We do unit testing to check individual code components, those cross-browser checks we talked about, accessibility validation to ensure it meets standards, and super important security audits to protect user data right from the start.
And it really highlights that crucial collaboration between designers and developers, doesn't it? Designers need to know their vision is technically possible, and developers need to deeply understand the intended UX to build it right.
Absolutely. They have to work hand in hand constantly to make sure the vision translates accurately into reality. It's a very collaborative phase.
Okay, so finally we reach phase four. Launch and post-launch, the big day. Sound exciting, but probably stressful too.
It is. And it's much more than just flipping a switch. There's a structured launch strategy, pre-launch SEO audits, final security sweeps, performance testing under simulated heavy traffic, then the actual deployment, moving files, checking databases, and even immediately after launch, there are smoke tests just to make sure the core functions are working as expected.
Wow, a lot of checks.
For sure. But the work doesn't stop at launch. Post-launch involves continuous monitoring of analytics, seeing how real users are actually behaving on the site, fixing any bugs that inevitably pop up, and optimizing based on that real-world feedback. Plus, ongoing maintenance, security monitoring, regular updates. It's a living thing.
That really gives you a sense of the depth involved from start to, well, ongoing finish. Now let's shift gears slightly and talk about some different approaches to web design and the essential principles guiding them. You might hear terms like static versus dynamic websites thrown around. What's the core difference there?
Okay, think of a static website like a printed brochure, but digital. It's a collection of pre-built HTML pages delivered exactly as they're stored. They tend to be incredibly fast, very secure, and great for things like portfolios, simple blogs, or documentation sites where the content doesn't change all that often. Tools like Gatsby or Hugo, these static site generators, help build them.
Okay, fast and simple. What about dynamic?
Dynamic websites are more like a live, interactive magazine. They generate content on the fly, often pulling information from databases using a content management system or CMS, like WordPress. These are essential for e-commerce sites, platforms needing personalization, or large sites with many authors where content needs to update constantly.
So it's kind of a trade-off between speed and security versus flexibility and features.
Exactly. It depends entirely on the site's purpose.
Got it. And beyond those basic types, we're seeing some really interesting modern methodologies shaping how websites are built now, aren't we? What are a couple of the big ones?
Definitely. One of the most impactful is mobile-first design. This isn't just about making your site look okay on a phone, it's a fundamental shift in how you design. You start by designing for the smallest screen, the phone, and then progressively enhance the experience for tablets and desktops.
Why start small?
Because it forces you to prioritize ruthlessly. You have limited space, so you have to focus on the most important content and functionality first. This usually leads to cleaner, more efficient designs across all devices and ensures a great experience on the device most people are actually using to browse.
That makes sense. And progressive web apps, or PWAs, seem to be blurring the lines between websites and native apps. What's the core idea there?
PWAs are really interesting. They deliver app-like features. Things like being able to use them offline, super fast loading, even push notifications, but directly through a standard web browser.
So you don't need an app store.
Right. You don't have to go find and download an app. You can often install the website right to your home screen from the browser, and it behaves very much like a native application. It kind of combines the reach and discoverability of the web with the rich features and reliability people expect from an app.
Very cool. So we've covered different approaches from static sites to PWAs, but regardless of the tech stack or the methodology, what are those timeless, fundamental principles that every successful web design cutting edge or classic really needs to nail? Where does the art and science truly meet?
Yeah, this gets to the core of just good design. One of the absolute most important principles is visual hierarchy. It's how designers strategically use size, contrast, spacing, and typography to guide your attention where it needs to go.
Okay, guiding the eye.
Exactly. Larger, bolder elements naturally signal importance. Accent colors are often used very deliberately to highlight critical call to action buttons, drawing your eye towards what the site wants you to do. And proper spacing helps group-related content, making it much easier for you to scan and understand what belongs together. It's really about designing with the user's natural gaze in mind.
And working right alongside that is overall usability and functionality, right? How do designers make sure the practical parts of a site are as intuitive as the pretty parts?
That covers all the practical elements that make a site actually work well for the user. Intuitive navigation design, for instance, menus that are easy to find, easy to understand, that's paramount. Form optimization is another huge one. Shorter forms, clear labels. They significantly improve completion rates, which is often tied directly to business goals.
Fewer people giving up halfway through.
Precisely. We've mentioned loading speed, but specific techniques like lazy loading images and using browser caching are practical ways designers and developers improve that. And clear error handling, giving helpful messages when something goes wrong, not just a generic error 404 that builds user trust by acknowledging the problem and guiding them.
So wrapping this all up, What does this mean for you listening right now? Whether you're just someone interacting with countless websites daily, or maybe you're thinking about building your own digital presence. This deep dive really shows that professional web design is this potent blend of creativity, technology, and strategy.
Yeah, it's definitely not just about aesthetics. It's about genuinely engaging users, boosting a brand's credibility, driving business results like conversions, and crucially, ensuring that digital space is accessible and inclusive for everyone.
Investing in high-quality web design really does seem to provide a significant competitive advantage these days.
It absolutely does. Businesses that prioritize design tend to build stronger relationships with their users, they see higher conversion rates, and they create these more enduring digital presences that can adapt over time. It's pretty fundamental to success online, helping all of us navigate these digital spaces more efficiently and confidently.
It truly is. And, you know, as digital experiences keep evolving so quickly, with new tech like AI constantly emerging and reshaping how we interact online, it leaves us with a final, maybe provocative thought to ponder.
Hmm.
Given this shift towards potentially more personalized, intelligent, maybe even immersive online experiences, how do you think this art and science of web design will continue to transform our daily interactions and define our future online? What new challenges and what new opportunities do you think will emerge for the people crafting our digital worlds as technology pushes even further?
That's a great question to think about. The field is definitely not standing still.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
We've really just scratched the surface today of a truly dynamic and essential field.